Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Now, it being Motivational Monday, it's very important for us to chat to people who just motivate and inspire us. So we are going to chat to a motivational speaker and a transformational life coach who helps people to achieve their dreams by breaking through the mental and emotional blocks that are holding them back. We are chatting to Coach Kaye. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
It's a pleasure having you here today. Let's just touch on the fact that you are based in the US, so you just landed in from New York, coming to South Africa. Take us through your childhood journey as who is Coach Kaye?
All right, thank you so much. So my name is Kaye. I was born and raised in KZN. I was born in the province of Mpumalanga, but then I grew up in KZN. I am coming from a very humble beginnings. I'm coming from the family of 7, and I'm the 5th of the 7. And I was raised by a single mother, and that made everything to be very difficult to navigate my life, being raised by a single mother and, have some siblings. And, we didn't have so many opportunities like how other people had around while growing.
Just touching on that, you did share that you came from humble beginnings. Normally, sometimes it's also a kind of a blessing in a way to be able to give you more experiences and for you to be able to, educate and help other people in terms of their journey. It is a Motivational Monday. Maybe perhaps you can share with us some words of wisdom and some words of motivation that you have for us and our viewers.
The one that I usually like is the one by Dr. Martin Luther King that says, if you can't walk, if you can't run, walk, and if you can't walk, just make sure that you fall forward. For me, it's always been my inspiration. All the time I know that I may not be where I want to be at the particular moment, but I try by all means to make sure that no matter how difficult it is, I just keep making sure that I put effort to strive to move forward.
Through Coach Kaye, just touching on the whole idea of South African people, right? Now, we know that South Africans people have this label on South Africans that they call them lazy, they call them demotivated. And we do see that happening a lot. We have an unemployment rate that's very, very high. We have a huge amount of people right now that are not, happy at the moment in terms of poverty. What advice do you have for young people in particular when it comes to them being seen in such a negative way?
It's unfortunate that the community do view young people that way, and we are just coming back from COVID-19, which hit the whole world, and it was unexpected. And based on me, because I know that I've been a teenager, and right now I'm in my 20s. It's easy for someone to just put a label on you, which kind of demotivates you. But I feel like we are very driven, and we're passionate. We are very talented, and we are very smart. If we can given the opportunity to showcase our abilities, I'm pretty sure that things will look better even for this country. Young people can take this country to another level. We just need an opportunity.
You said something very interesting. You just mentioned that, young people have a lot of drive as well. Now, unfortunately, as much as we have a lot of drive, there's some young people that lose their drive. What are some of the most common reasons why we might see a young person losing their drive or ambition?
First of all, I would say what can make you lose your drive is not getting support. Because, if you just keep trying to move forward and nobody's recognizing your efforts, then you do lose drive to move, to become better. And then also, no matter how much you try, you need support, and then you need motivation. We also, facing, due to all these effects that we have, they also affect our mental health. So we just need so many revenues that will be open to young people to express themselves and being allowed to express themselves the way they are. We live in the 21st century right now, so things are not going the same way that things used to be back in the days.
Yeah, you mentioned the importance of, having a good mental health. But perhaps we can also touch on something else that affects a lot of young people, and that's having the right mindset as well, right? So having a mindset of abundance, of growth. Now, that's something that isn't very common in South Africa because it's not something that's instilled at a young age. Now, how do we look towards changing stuff like, for example, the fear of failure, which happens in South Africa quite often? How do we get rid of that fear of failure in that mindset?
So for me, it's different because when I look at the failure, I don't see it as a bad thing, because if you don't fail, then you're not doing anything. So we need so much support in having people that will just keep encouraging us and allow ourselves to fail and know that you didn't just lose everything. Failing doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It means you are moving forward, you are trying, and you should always get chances to fail and just move forward and try other things. I mean, if you fail, so you basically fail and then try something different, and you get better because you're not starting from scratch. So you just gain more experience instead.
Sure, you're a motivational speaker, but you're also a transformational life coach as well.
Yeah.
Now, one of the words that are synonymous when it comes to a traditional life coach is that of self-development, right?
Right.
So it's very important to continually develop yourself. But maybe what are some of the ways in which a person can develop themselves in particular?
So the other way of developing yourself, can you repeat that?
Just in terms of some of the ways in which people can develop themselves when it comes to self-development.
Yeah. So one is, what I can say is, after self-development is you need to make sure that you set goals, and make sure that your goals are achievable. I know we like to dream big, which is a beautiful thing, because at least you get a direction of where you want to go, but make sure that you don't really stretch yourself so much. Yeah.
Perfect. And then just touching on something that you've done quite a lot in terms of traveling, right? Now, we know that self-development includes the aspect of being able to experience new things and travel as well. How important is traveling for a young person's mindset?
To be honest with you, so when I first left my country, I love South Africa. I would say I didn't know so much about the world. I just knew how beautiful and very comfortable I was being at home. I didn't know the beauty of meeting different cultures and meeting different people and their experiences. So going outside of your comfort zone expose you to good things and bad things, and then that's where you learn, that's where you find your middle ground, and then you just kind of like, that's where you begin to create and mold your own person of who you are, and you get to define yourself instead of being defined by where you come from and your country and your culture.
Through not being a motivational speaker, I'm sure it happens to you very often that at the end of your talks, there'll always be people coming to you, or especially young people coming to you, asking you specific questions. What are some of those requests that you normally get?
So honestly, with the questions that I've been getting, which is something that I'm expecting, I mean, so I'm a life coach who specialize with youth, so between the age of like 21 all the way to like late 30s, knowing about their careers and relationships and like families, because we all have childhood traumas or family situation that you're dealing with. So they usually ask me around those aspects.
Sure, just touching on that in particular, now you are mentioning traumas.
Yeah.
Depression is something that does happen quite a lot, and is quite common in South Africa, especially among a lot of young people, because of the growth of social media and people comparing themselves consistently.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for young people right now that are perhaps going through depression?
So it's really not easy. So number one thing that you need to do, I mean, at least if you have finally understood and come to realize that you have that, situation going on, then you need to get help. You need to contact someone. If you have someone, if you can get a life coach, if you can go to a therapy, or like the first step that is even cheaper is to have that someone that you can talk to, and those people, they're not going to judge you. Those people are not going to, after you talk to them or you open up to them about something, they're not going to end up backstabbing you and like spread whatever you just confess to them, because that's hurting.
True. I know that when we did intro you, we spoke about breaking down, all of these different blocks that are in place, especially when it comes to emotional and mental blocks. Mm-hmm. Let's just get into the mental block aspect of it. Yeah. What are some of those mental blocks that you would mention?
So the mental blockage is most of the time we sabotage ourselves. It's not easy to just clap for yourself, and I mean, So if you sabotage yourself, no matter how much you do, you can achieve so much and people will look at you outside and be like, oh, you're so great. But then deep inside, you just go back at home, and when you lock the doors or when you're inside the shower, then you start like saying all the negative things, you know, when you're by yourself. You don't see your worth, you don't see that you're doing good, you don't see that you literally just move from point A to point B and you're doing great. And you don't have to even compare yourself to other people. You know, success is not something that you can compare yourself. It's about what you've achieved from, let's say, for example, from January to December. Then you see how many wins you had. Forget about what other people are getting and what you don't have.
Unfortunately, we are living in a world where social media has a lot to do with comparing people, and the whole idea of social media was there to inspire and motivate people, right? It wasn't there to be able to compare people, but unfortunately that is the case. Now, there's a lot of people that might be struggling with, you know, self-esteem issues, self-worth issues. How would you, or what advice would you give to people that are going through these issues in particular?
So the self-esteem, like I said, if you have, it's not something that someone will give it to you, because whatever that you need to get out of that box you have within you, you have the power to really get yourself out of that dark room. You just need someone to encourage you or to support you. Like life coach, we support people to become who they want to be. We don't perform magic. Yeah, like you're not gonna come to my office and I'm like, okay, fine, we're gonna do this. No, it's a steps of you unlearning some pattern that you've taught yourself and choose the better ones to make you reach your goals that you've set for yourself.
Perfect. We are getting quite a lot of comments. People are loving you on social media as well. We got a question from social media asking for just 3 of your most important tips when it comes to helping young people become better.
3 tips to help people become better?
To help young people become better.
I would say number 1 is I would really encourage young people to dream big. Because for me to become and be where I was, I didn't come from a better place. I literally come from a poor family, but I was always ambitious. I was always dreaming big. I mean, my dreams were just like always, they didn't fit the box. They didn't make sense. So dream big. Never. It's free of charge to dream big. And then after that, make sure that you stay disciplined, because discipline is what's gonna take you from point A to point B. If you're not disciplined, then it's so difficult for you to reach your goals. Even if you have the potential, you have all what it takes. You need discipline. That's number 2. And then number 3, just go with the flow. You know, just take it easy.
Just touching on you again, being a motivational speaker, I think let's just cover the topic of networking, right? Because that's also quite an important part of people, especially when it comes to young people, when it comes to anything to do with any form of movement. It involves the skill of networking. How important is networking when it comes to being a young person in the world?
Well, it's very, very important to network with people. Never lock yourself in a box. When you go out there, just be open, talk to people. Hey, how are you? Where you come from? Just don't judge people based on where they're coming from, how they look like. I mean, whatever background, just don't judge people, because you may never know how far you can go. And if you need help, you may be surprised that the same person that you may take for granted, or maybe they may look like they have all what it takes to help you get where you are. Those people won't even, they're not going to put you in. The people that you take for granted are the ones that are going to support you to become, to reach where you want to be.
So, I mean, you're great at networking. We did have a little bit of a conversation before we came on air. Just let's touch on some of the tips in terms of networking in particular. What are some of the best tips when it comes to how to improve yourself when it comes to networking?
So basically the first thing that you can do, honestly, is to always, you know, ask people, hey, how are you? Where you coming from? It's just like literally that easy, and allow people to tell you about who they are, and you'll be fascinated. They'll just share something that you're looking for, and maybe you find the conversation interesting, and then you take it from there, and then before you know it, you get comfortable. Once you get comfortable, I mean, that's the start of everything.
Perfect, Coach. Just in closing, what's the one quote that you live by?
I have so many. It's so even hard to really pick up one. But one that I would say is by Oprah Winfrey, which says, so in order to become who you are, you need to always stay prepared, because there's nothing that comes by luck. It's always preparation meets opportunity, and then that's how you get success.
Thank you so much for joining us, Coach.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. That was Coach Kaye, just telling us everything and anything to do with how to change your life, how to get yourself to the next level, but most importantly, how to build the mindset of success. On that note, let's take a quick ad break. We'll come right back.